Hello everyone, welcome to BISP solution. So let's continue with the benefit module. So in human capital management, we are going to discuss about the eligibility profile, benefit groups, drive factor. So let's start with the eligibility profile. So here we are taking a look at an overview of eligibility. So we have got eligibility criteria, which is found in the eligibility profile, but we can also include user defined criteria, and you are specifying what in the application we are looking to. And we can also use drive factor for things like compensation, age, length of service, and all of those items come together in an eligibility profile, right? So eligibility profile are not specific to the benefit, they are used in other module as well, like the absence and the core HR part. So again, there are many some items that we will see within the profile that does not mean anything to benefit. So just understand, we are not the only ones at the leverage them, right? But for the items that we leverage, those profile can be attached to the benefit object. So like program and plans, but they can also be attached to variable rates or variable coverage profile in the event that your rate or coverage vary by things like age or the smoker status. And then we also have the benefit groups. So we are going to use the benefit group page to see what groups the participant is enrolled in and manage new and existing membership. So that would be at the participant level, or we can say the employee level. And now how do we use benefit groups? So one of the things that we are focusing on right now here is that we can use a benefit group as a criteria in an eligibility profile also. And we can use it to either include or exclude group of individuals, or we can say the employee only, right? And its main purpose is that we can't find anything else on their assignment that would differentiate a group of individuals, and we need just that added piece of criteria, and that's where the group would come in. We can also use benefit group in the reporting purpose, and they can also be used as a parameter in the batch processes. So this is about the benefit group. How we can use the benefit group? So to use a benefit group, you would assign individuals to one or more benefit group using what's called the manage person habits. This is actually found in the enrollment work area, and that's the area that we access to look at all the things for the particulars individuals. So the first thing that we would do is create the benefit group and then attach it to the people that we want to group together. And then we can use that benefit group in an eligibility profile, and through the process of linking the group of the qualified participant and including it in the eligibility profile, that can help control benefits offerings. So let's go to the application and see how we can perform this task. Okay, so we have to log in as an implementation user, and for the benefit task we have to go to the benefit administration, right? Then we have to go to the plan configuration option to configure benefit groups. And here in the task panel we have to go to the benefit group option under the eligibility. So let's open it. So basically this particular benefit object is not effective dated, so we will go ahead and just click create option to create new one. If we just click on the search here, so here we can see the existing benefit group. Here you can see the Canada benefit group, the family and dependent care, the flex credit, the retail, the Supremo fitness. And for creating new one, just click on the create option and fill the details here, like the benefit group name and the description, and which legal employer you want to attach this benefit group. So let first fill the name. Okay, so now we could assign a benefit group to a particular legal employer, in which case only people assigned to this legal employer would be able to have the benefit group attach them. Right, so let's add the US one here. Let's click the save and close. Okay, so we just created the benefit group here where we can use this. So let's just associate the benefit group with the participant. So for that we have to go to the home page first. And here you have to go to the enrollment option. You can search the person here. In the benefit summary option, you can see here the benefit group. Just click on it and open it, and then click on the add option here. Here you can see the benefit group we just created, so you can add here with the participant. And when does this benefit group change start? So let's keep today's date here and then click on the save option. So that's how we can associate the benefit group with the participant or the employee. Let's back to the home page and also to the slide. Let's talk about the drive factor. So these related to things that typically change with time, right? So the option that we have for drive factor are things like the age, the length of service, a combination of both, and you can include compensation, hours worked, and even full-time equivalents. And how we can use these drive factor? So for each factor that you create, you can specify one or more rules about how eligibility is determined. The determination rule specify the dates as of which the drive factor is evaluated. So do you want to look at whatever it is as of the first of a calendar year, or do you want it to be based on the event date of a particular event that's being processed? Right, so depending upon the drive factor, you can also specify things like unit of measures for time or monetary amounts, and you can include rounding rules. You can include minimums and the maximums. So I have explained that there are several different types of drive factor. So let's just go ahead into the application and explore those options. Okay, so we have to go to the plan configuration option here, and then we have to go to the task panel and open the drive factor. Okay, so here you can see the drive factor, age, length of service, age and services, compensation, hour works, and the full-time equivalent. Let's open the existing one for the age. Let's open this. Here we have to give the name for the drive factor, what's the age to use, what's the unit you want to select here. If you want to add the calculation formula for the age, you can select here person's age, and then here we can define the range of values, and then we define the determination rules here, and at last we define the rounding rules. What are the rounding rules here? So here if you also want to define the formula for the rounding rule, you can select here. Then if we just go to the length of service option, again let's open any existing length of service. So the same information we have to fill here, the name of the drive factor, what is the unit of measure. If you want to add any formula here for the length of service, what is the greater than or equals to numbers and what are the less than numbers, what date to use, what is the period start date rule here, is it a date of hire or there's this adjusted service date or the original hire date, seniority date, what are the date you want to select here. And if you want to add any formula, so you can add here, right? If you select the seniority date, so this field is enabled now. If you select the formula here, so this field is enabled now. So most of the time we select the date of hire here. Then you can define the determination rule here, and at last you define the rounding rule for the length of service. Let's just move ahead. The next one, the combination of age and length of service. If we open any existing one, okay, so there is, so here we have to define the name of the drive factor, what's the age factor we created here in this drive factor, and what's the length of service we created here. These options are available, right? And here we can enter the valid range of sum of age and the length of service factors here. So this is the combination of drive factor, and let's just move the next one, which is a compensation here. So let's see if there is any existing drive factor for the compensation. Okay, let's open it. Okay, so here we also define the name of the drive factor, compensation drive factor, the unit of measure, and here we have the source. So what's the source? If we selected the stated compensation, then the software is actually going to look at the person's compensation package in the HR to determine their salary. If we select a balance type, so that would be something that you are looking at in a payroll. And if you select a benefit balance type, so that's something that's stored in a benefit in the enrollment work area by the persons. And if needed be, you can create a formula and add it, right? And here you can select the unit of measure where we select the currency, and here we can define the range of values, and again you have to define the determination rule and the rounding rule if needed be, right? Let's just cancel this and then back again to the slide here. Okay, so let's talk about the age drive factor. So you benefit administrator frequently use age factor to determine dependent eligibilities. So you can also use age as a factor when determining life insurance rates. Maybe the older I get, if I'm still being covered, the higher my rates become based on my age. Right, and the determination rule for an age drive factor specifies the day on which to evaluate their calculated age for the eligibility. So if the determination rule is set to the first of the year, then the person age as of the first of the year is used to determine it. And again, your summary plan description will dictate all these rules. So it's not anything that you need to make up, right? Then if we talk about the length of service drive factor, so more examples are here. Drive factor for this length of service determines a range of value for calculating the employee's length of service. So you can take advantages of something called a seniority dates. Right, so you use the seniority date along with the benefit status or a pay group to determine if an employee is eligible. You could define a set of length of service based bands that can be used to determine eligibilities for the compensation object. And then if you choose to combine them, the age and the length of service, then it would be inclusive of them. Right, then if we talk about the compensation, full-time equivalent and hours work drive factor, so all the things that are available for use when defining the rules here. Okay, so next we are going to talk about the seniority dates. So how can you use a seniority date when you create a length of service drive factor? So you would use the seniority date along with the benefit status or pay group to determine if employee are eligible for ineligible, maybe to enroll in a savings plan. Configure a greater variety of seniority traits using global human resource functionality. So you have the ability to create your own version of the seniority date. And then just continue to configure rules for creating defaulting seniority dates, and then that's also managed by the HR. So a lot of what we are using for eligibility and benefit is coming from the global human resources. So they may be responsible for a number of these items, but obviously you would work with them to get things determined. So the seniority date we created in a HR part. So all the data for the seniority dates come from the human resources. Let's talk about drive factor. So then we can also use drive factor in bulk, right? So you can create spreadsheets, populate them and then update them. The example here is if you want to enter drive factor for age. So you select the age worksheet and then insert a row for each record, right? So you can enter data in multiple worksheets. So that's how it works. Okay, so let's just go to the application and create drive factors. Okay, so we are only going to create the age drive factor here. I have just explained you what are the information you have to fill in the other drive factors. For the example, I am going to create only the age drive factor. Let's say fusion age. Age to use as a person's age and unit as years. Then we have to define less than age is 19. And then in the determination rule, we are going to select the as of event date. Okay, let's create another age drive factor. So I'm just going to click save and create another. Okay, so here we are going to create age between 19 to 64. Age equals to 19 to 64. Here also we are going to use the person's age, and unit of means unit we are going to use years. And here in the greater than or equals to age field, we are going to fill the 19, and here less than age 65. Let's select the determination rule as of event date, and again I am going to click save and create another. Let's select the age to use is a person's age, and unit measure is a years. Greater than and equals to 65. Determination rule is as of event date, and then let's click on the save and close. So these are the drive factor we just created. So let's move on to our next topic, which is a benefit service area. So this will allow you to determine eligibility based on either a single postal code or a range of postal codes. So these are commonly used for HMOs in the United States, and so to set up the service area, you have to define your ranges, define your service areas, and then use them in your eligibility profiles. So again, let's go to the application and create the benefit areas and see what are the details we have to fill while creating the benefit service area. So here you can see the benefit service area. Let's create first postal code. Here we have to give the from value. Let's add to 8428. We have to give the start date. Let's give the previous year date. Okay, let's create another. Let's create one more. So here I'm going to give the value is and then I'm going to create also from the first of this year. Okay, so now obviously if you are working with a vendor that's requiring service areas for the eligibility purpose, they are likely going to be able to populate a worksheet, right? So that you could upload them, because it would be quite a tedious task to get it all done manually. But here I just want to put some example out there, so I just created. So here you can see the prepare in a workbook, so you can add it here. Now once we have got our postal code ranges, then we can go over to the service areas here, and again you can prepare the workbook here, but I'm just going to go ahead and click on the create option here. Okay, so let's give the name. Let's skip the last year date. And here you could indicate a service area type. This is coming from a lookup, right? We said certain lookups are the system, certain are extensible, and certain are the users. So it is defined the lookups here. So if you want to use, you can use it here, but this is not a mandatory, so I'm just going to save it. Okay, so let's create another. Another one, we also have to define the area. So let's add the postal code first here. Okay, here you can see we just added this service area. Let's select and add. Here we have the postal code range we just created. And then I'm just going to add the another one. So I have area defined here, and here I just add the postal code range. So we have now include these value within this service area, right? So when we go to the eligibility profile, you can select from the individual postal codes or select a service area which includes the multiple postal codes there. So you can define these service areas with the eligibility profiles. Okay, so let's just move our next topic, which is the eligibility profiles overview. So what is the eligibility profile basically? So it is as a part of the eligibility, we define a set of set of the combination and conditions and call it an eligibility profile. Eligibility profile is used across various HCM models like the compensation, benefits, absence management. So I have already explained to you about an overview of eligibility profile here. So we are going to use these benefit object to limit eligibility For things like programs and plan, we can base eligibility on the drive factor. There's all kind of things beside just arrive factors that we can leverage. So in order to define your eligibility profile, you are going to create your drive factor and user defined formulas as well as your user defined criteria. So before creating your profile, if you are going to leverage them, that's so there is an option to associate multiple eligibility profile with the benefit offerings and the compensation objects. But we are also going to talk about where you are going to be limited to a single eligibility profile, and I'll also show you the example of that. So here we are going to start with the two types of eligibility profiles here, the participant and the dependents. So we are going to use the participant profile to define criteria for employees or ex-employees who are eligible for company and sponsors benefits. So maybe they are retirees and you are still carrying them for the benefits. So we then have what are called the dependent profiles. Okay, and these are used for the participant, spouse and the family members or other individuals who qualify as dependents. So when we define eligibility profiles, we have to select the type of the profile that we are defining, and there is a two types that exist. First is a participant and the second is a dependent. The participant profile is looking for a criteria about participant themselves, and then we have what are called the dependents profile, and these profiles are used to look at the things for the dependents within the participant enrollments, such as the spouse and the family members or the anybody who might qualify as a dependent. So let's just go ahead in the application and create the eligibility profiles. So we are going to create these eligibility profiles. In the participant profile, we are going to create 4 eligibility profiles. First with the benefit group. Second, we created the drive factor for the age less than 19, age 19 between 64 and age greater than or equals to 65. Then we are going to create the dependent profile, the spouse eligibility profile and child under age 19 eligibility profile. Okay, so let's just move to the application and create those. So I'm just going to overview and then go to the task panel here and then click on the eligibility profile. Here when you click on the drop down option, you can see there is a 2 option for the eligibility profile, but when we are on the absence management or the compensation, there is only one eligibility profile, which is a participant profile. So first we are going to create the participant profile. Let's open it. So here we have to give the proper name for this eligibility profile because we are going to create for the benefit group. Benefits group. Then we have to go to the other tab under the eligibility criteria. Here you can see the benefit group. So let's add the benefit group we created. First we have to fill the sequence here, then select your benefit group, then move on to the employment tab again. Let's add the assignment status here, fill the sequence first, and then click on the active payroll eligible. So this is how you can add multiple criteria with one eligibility profile. Let's save and close this, and let's create another participant profile. Fusion age. Then we have to go to the drive factor option, and the age sub tab here we have to age our drive factor. So let's give the sequence first here. Add your drive factor, and then let's save and close. Let's create another. In the drive factor, under the age sub tab, I'm just going to click on the create option. Let's save and close again, and create the last participant eligibility profile. Again we have to add the drive factor. Let's click on the save and close. Now let's move on to the dependent profile here. So let's give the name. Spouse, and then we can go to the relationship tab. Here you can see in the participant eligibility profile we have different eligibility criteria, but in the dependent eligibility profiles we have different eligibility criteria, right? So here in the relationship tab, I'm just going to click on the create option, and here I'm going to find the spouse here, and here you can define your start date and end date. Let's just click on the save and close. Okay. Now we are going to define the last dependent profile here. So fusion dependent child under age 19. And then we have to go to the relationship subtab under the eligibility criteria, and here let's child, and we can also add another child here. And then in the age eligibility criteria tab, we are going to give the sequence here, and then associate our drive factor which we created. Let's save and close. Okay, so we created our participant eligibility profile and the dependent eligibility profile. So this is all about today's session. So thank you so much for giving your time.